There are three kinds of people in this world: good people, bad people, and those who are neither good nor bad. Fall somewhere in between, beach mein, na achhe na bure, with shades of grey, isn't it? Now this is not a philosophy class. You will say maths padhne aaye the, what is he talking? For me this is different. The definition is a little different. For me there are three kinds of people in this world, and those three kinds are: one, those who are good at maths; two, who are bad at maths; and three, who are average at maths. Average, not good, not bad. Sometimes they do well, sometimes they don't do well. The problem with most strategies, when you look at them, you ask for prescriptions, kya kara jaye, kaise kara jaye. You ask your teachers, you ask your fellow students, people who have been successful. You ask for all kinds of tips and tricks and all those things. The problem with these things is that since this is not this is not customized, this is customizable, but this is not customized. Most strategies do fail when you try to implement them, isn't it? It's like that. I mean, just to give you a simple example, when you go to buy a shirt which a friend has, if a friend is size large, you are size medium, you will not just go and say, "Mujhe ye wala shirt de do." You look for an appropriate size, the size that fits you, isn't it? So it's just that. So all what people tell you, all what successful people tell you is everything right. I mean, they would not have any intention to hurt you, right? But the problem is that when you try applying those things mindlessly, without thinking, blindly, they might not work for you. They might backfire. And so what ideally, in an ideal case, you should get customized advice, the one that suits you as an individual, but that's not possible. So what I've done is that when I talk about how to go about Quant and DI for this SBI PO preparation, SBI PO and IBPS PO preparation, I would try and divide the tips, or I would try or customize the tips according to three categories. I cannot go any further. They can be 5, 7, 10, 11 categories: good, bad, and average. So when I recommend something, I would say this is for good students, this is for not so good students, and this is for students who feel they are absolutely terrible at it. Now don't confuse maths with quantitative aptitude. So for example, I need to make this clear. If you got 100 out of 100 in your CBSE 10th, 12th board exam and now you're struggling, you're a bad student for me. No, you look at your current size. So I might be size medium today, I might be size large if I keep eating for the next 3 months, isn't it? So that's always possible. So that way, be realistic, fine, do not have any ego problems. What is the objective of this exercise? We want to maximize scores in Quant and DI in the upcoming exams, isn't it? So let's be honest to ourselves. So for me, the definitions would be: you are good at maths currently, or you're good at Quant currently if you cross 90 percentile in all these tests most of the times in Quant section, right? 90 percentile. If you are somewhere between 75 and 90 most of the times, then you are average. If it's below 70, 75, then you are bad. Accept it first. So before we correct anything, before we fix anything, the first step would be to accept it the way it is. And the target would be those people who are good, who are getting above 90, should reach a 99 plus. For those in between, from 75 to 90, you should definitely cross a 90 all the time. And those below 70, 75 should be able to cross a 75, 80 all the time, right? Our targets should be realistic. I mean, I can go on giving you examples like that. For example, cricket, my favorite subject. Talk about a Rohit Sharma, Jasprit Bumrah, and a Ravindra Jadeja for their batting ability. So a Ravindra Jadeja, howsoever good he might get with the bat, would never try and match the ability of a Rohit Sharma. Similarly, Bumrah would not dream of getting close to Rohit Sharma or to Ravindra Jadeja, isn't it? It works like that. He won a match with the bat for us against England, something like that. I don't watch these days, but yeah, they set it up for India before they bowled out England, isn't it? What does that mean? It means that, now try and draw an analogy. What does it mean? You might be bad at maths, the way Bumrah is bad at batting, and he's bad at batting. When you might still do enough to see it through, to see the exam through, to clear the exam. He won the day for India. Likewise, if you're average, now I'm not getting into that bits and pieces players debate. No, I'm not with Sanjay Manjrekar. Ravindra Jadeja, brilliant cricketer. I do not want you to troll me on this, right? But all said and done, he's not a proper frontline batter. Almost as good, but not like that. So what would he try and do? Try and do his best, try and reach the level of a frontline batsman. And what would Rohit Sharma want to do? Be the best batsman in the world. Like that, fine, if you can draw an analogy. So what does that mean? It means that you have to perform to your potential. The problem would be, and it happens with so many students, when a Jasprit Bumrah, after batting in the nets for 2 days, starts complaining, I'm not hitting sixes like Rohit Sharma does. What is it? It's not fair. कहाँ गया मेरा बैटिंग कोच, बुला के लाओ, ठीक से नहीं बता रहा. ये प्रॉब्लम होती है, सबके साथ होती है, and it happens with so many people and they end up getting frustrated. So one, before I get into the nitty-gritty of it, we'll dissect the section. Please set realistic expectations. I am against setting low targets. So it's very easy for me to say सब लोग 99 percentile लेकर आएंगे. Fine, it's very simple. I can say that, and I set really high targets for my students. But the problem is that we've got limited time, 2.5 months. So you cannot reach 99 plus from a 40-45 percentile into 2.5 months. It's possible, but it will be very difficult. Fine. So set yourself high targets, but they should be realistic. So let's say you start doing quantitative aptitude seriously from tomorrow. After a week, even if you've improved, if you start comparing yourself to the topper of your batch, you would say, नहीं यार, I'm not improving. ये guy कितना बढ़िया है, how good is he, and कैसे चलेगा? You're getting the point. So set yourself realistic targets. You will not get frustrated and you would feel as if you are progressing, and that is what you need to do. I gave you these examples so that you can understand the context. Fine. Set realistic targets and then start your preparation. I'll give you another example. There are people who would come back after say a mains mock test and say, sir, I cannot do this puzzle. बहुत लंबी सी एक puzzle उठा के लाया and very lengthy. And I cannot do this puzzle, and that's the reason I do not do well in the test, because ये मुश्किल वाले मुझसे होते ही नहीं. I asked the score. How many did you get? 7 out of 60. 7 out of 60, and why were you doing this tough one? क्यों कर रहे थे? Why this puzzle or why this DI set? Because मुझे करना है. I want to score good. थोड़ा सा दिमाग लगाओ यार. You are at a 7, a 6, a 5, not even double digits. What do you have to do? Common sense. You have to look at the easier questions. आसान मारने वाली बॉल ढूंढनी है, उन पे थोड़े से रन बनाने, यही करना है ना, और आ जाएगा उतना. दैट्स व्हाट आई से. इफ यू बिलीव यू आर वेरी बैड मैथ्स, बहुत खराब हो, बहुत ही खराब हो, बहुत ही ज़्यादा खराब हो, होपलेस है, 15-20 नंबर फिर भी आ जाएंगे. पेपर मुश्किल होगा, यू विल स्टिल गेट अ 10. कुछ ना कुछ तो यू विल डेफिनेटली गेट. व्हाट इज द प्रॉब्लम? वन, यू हैव गिवन अप ऑन योर सेल्फ, विच वी कैन नॉट अफोर्ड टू डू. ये तो बर्दाश्त ही है मेरे को, चलेगा ही नहीं. यू कैन नॉट गिव अप ऑन योर सेल्फ यार. यू आर वेरी टैलेंटेड. यू हैव टू जस्ट बिलीव इन योर एबिलिटी and set realistic goals. You can catch up with that Rohit Sharma if you're a Bumrah, if you've practiced your batting, worked in batting for 3-4 years. हमारे पास टाइम नहीं है ना. अब कल तक तो रोहित शर्मा नहीं बन सकते हम, तो हम बुमराह ही बन के अपना बेस्ट करेंगे. आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट बैटिंग माइंडेड. एंड वो कभी उसके फैन आके फिर मेरे को गाली देने लगे, कितना वैल्यूएबल है. हाँ, अमेजिंग बॉलर यार, पहले एक्सेप्ट कर लेता हूँ. आप समझ गए मेरी बात? व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू कन्वे, रियलिस्टिक टारगेट्स एंड बिलीव इन योर एबिलिटी. नाउ इसमें वही क्रिकेट की नॉलेज को आगे करते हुए, इफ यू आर से रविंद्र जडेजा इन बैटिंग, यू हैव समथिंग मोर टू ऐड. नो, यू हैव अ फील्डिंग, इज अ गन फील्डर. बॉलिंग हेल्पफुल पिचेस इज लाइक अ गॉड, यू नो दैट ना. तो उसी तरीके से इफ यू आर से एवरेज इन क्वांट, you will have to compensate for it somewhere else. So I'm assuming that you'll be better at English or in reasoning or somewhere else. It depends. Like होता है ना, if you're good at everything, wonderful. If you're not so good at a subject or bad at a subject, you have to compensate for it somewhere else. So I'm sure that you'll do that. In this section, in this session, we're talking just about quant section. Quant means two things. Tier 1, what do you call that? Quantitative aptitude. And tier 2, it's got prelims and mains here. Prelims, quantitative aptitude, and mains, data analysis and interpretation. That's what we are talking about in this particular session, right? So सिर्फ इसी की बात कर रहे हैं, और इसमें improve करने के लिए आपको अपने को देखकर फिर उस पर काम करना होगा. तो पहली चीज़ आप क्या, what is the first thing I asked you? You'll have to promise me that you will forget and completely remove all the past baggage. कुछ भी, I'm bad, I'm this, no. Just very, very realistically, with the criteria I told you, evaluate your current position. 90 and above, good. 75 to 90, average. Below 70, 75, consistently, you're bad currently. What is the target? If you're good, you have to reach a 99 plus. 99 plus in maths, in quant, consistently. If you're average, 90 plus consistently, at least 90, 95 plus consistently, the more the better. And if you think you're bad, still a 75, 80 plus consistently. That's our target. How do we go about it? Now, why did I do this classification? Because when I suggest certain things, my suggestions, my recommendation, my prescriptions, I hate to prescribe that, but when it's just 2.5 months left, you have to do that about certain things. So when I prescribe certain things, there will be different prescriptions to different people. I hope you got the point, you got the message of this exercise. I'll try and be as crisp as possible. You just have to follow it. Just don't forget one thing. I am dividing into 3 categories. There will be 100 categories of people, isn't it? But I cannot do that for 100 types. The ideal thing would be that each one of you comes to me. I look at your scorecard, your sheet, your performance, aptitude, everything, and then suggest a course of action. But that's what we do when we talk to a doctor. Personal होता है वो, यहाँ possible नहीं है ना. So you have to do some customization on your side. But here 3 types broadly should be enough to guide you on how to go about it. So let's get started. Look at the screen now. Now these are broadly the question types. This is both for prelims and mains. I am guiding you about the complete thing. These 3 important primarily for prelims. Yes, a question can appear even in the main exam. Simplification approximation. It can be either, it can be both. Mostly it's approximation these days, I believe. And quadratic equations and number series. Number series can be anything, wrong number series, missing number series, whatever. But yeah, these three types. Then the most important one, arithmetic and data interpretation. I've clubbed them together. This is 2. Very, very important for mains. Even for prelims, you cannot do without it. Then this geometry / mensuration and PNC / probability. These 2 topics not very important. And the 4th one would be data sufficiency and quantity comparison. Now this is how the questions appear. When you look at the breakup of the test and all after the exam, you look at analysis, they generally put them under these heads, isn't it? So that's why I put them like that. I'll share my point of view. Now let's go one by one. The first box here, simplification, approximation, quadratic equations and number series. This is very important. Very, very important. This is extremely important, and you cannot do this test without doing these, without mastering these 3 topics. Now the importance of these 3 would be not just restricted to either prelims or mains. They can happen, they can appear anywhere. Mostly important for prelims. But you need to understand something here. If you do not clear prelims, you will not reach the main exam. So I've seen way too many people who are very good at problem solving in DI and arithmetic and all, and they are not so good at, because of the lack of practice at these 3 topics, and so they don't do well in prelims, and at times they do miss the exam. I would not want that to happen with any of you. No, not possible, not acceptable. These 3 are simple topics. You have to master them. How do I master these 3 topics? It is very simple. If you are currently counted as a I gave you the definition of good, bad, average. If you are good currently, so I'm assuming that you already know these 3 topics. If you know the 3 topics, you do not have to do anything special. You just straight away start taking the mock tests, sectional mock tests, full length mock tests and all, and the practice would keep happening there. Now in these 3 topics, if you look at the past year's trends, in prelims there will be around 10 questions. It's mostly 10 questions. So out of these 3, they'll pick 2 topics, give you 5 questions each, and that makes it 10 questions here. So when you take the mock tests and all, the practice would happen automatically on its own, and you'll be good. If you're not good at them currently, fine. So either you are very bad or you are average in these 2 topics, in these 3 topics currently. I would suggest practicing at least 500 questions on each of these 3 topics. Now this is important. These are the things that you can take a note of. I am being prescriptive here. Now what do you have to do? 500 questions of simplification, approximation, 500 of quadratic, 500 of missing series, missing, wrong number, normal series, whatever. Fine. You have to do it like that. It has to be 500, 500, 500. Now 500 is the lower limit. If you want to do an 800, you are free to do that. But at least 500 questions, and then you would be in a position when you can say that I am good, I am feeling better at these topics, and you would do them fast in the exam. Now this number also is, it's a little tricky, but yes, for some people it can be 200, 300 as well, but I would say 500 banta hai, itna sabko banta hai. Karo and then go to the mock tests. If you want a certain benchmark from me, kitni jaldi karna chahiye. So for an average set of 5 questions in any of these 3 topics, if you can get a speed of around 1.5 minute, 5 questions, you're very good. If it's 1 minute, people do it like that as well. 1.5 minute, 5 questions, you're like very, very good. But a speed of 2 minutes, 5 questions is also acceptable to me. 2.5 minutes, if you believe you're not so good at maths, it's acceptable. If it's more than that, you will struggle in prelims. Because 20 minutes only left, 20 minutes, 35 questions. How do you do that? Arithmetic, DI invariably would take more time. So you have to bring that to under 2 minutes for 5 questions. You get the point. So if your friend does these questions in say 70-80 seconds, 5 questions, normal, you look at any paper, you pick a set of 5 questions for quadratic. If your friend does that in 70 seconds and you are currently at say 180 seconds, you need to bring it down अगर आप कम ले आते हो, you can do it in 110 seconds, it's okay. Don't just be in a race with him. When he might be better at it naturally, he might have practiced 1500 questions already, right? So don't do that, but yes, under 2 minutes for these 5 questions with accuracy is acceptable. Did you get the point? What did I say? 500 questions of each of these 3 topics you have to practice and get into the practice mode in the test mode. Practice in the test mode. Practice random 500 questions. What is the source? It can be anything. There are hundreds of PDFs floating around on the web. You can use that. You can use practice material from Practice Mock, Olive Board. You can use even Test Zone or any other test series provider. They're all good. किसी से भी कर सकते हो. तो ये मत पूछना कहाँ से करें. There's no dearth of questions. You'll find thousands of questions on each topic. कहीं से भी करो. Before getting into the test series mode, find practice questions, PDFs. You can get them at so many places on the internet. Fine, but do them. उसके बाद आप तैयार हो गए टू स्टार्ट टेकिंग द मॉक टेस्ट, बट इट्स नॉट मॉक टेस्ट येट. फाइन, उसके पहले हमें अरिथमेटिक डीआई भी डिस्कस करना है. बट फॉर अ गुड स्टूडेंट ऑल्सो दीज टॉपिक्स आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. एट टाइम्स when you like problem solving, when you like arithmetic, you like DI, these topics might look a little boring, a little too simple, monotonous से मज़ा नहीं आता. No, you have to do them. बहुत important है. You might fail in exam still because there would be 10 questions. Who knows, the paper might change. When I advise you certain things today, I have this in mind that the paper might change. Who knows? So certain things would be based on that. 10 questions, these 10 questions currently, according to the current pattern, very important. What if they turn out to be 20 this time? नहीं हो जाएगा फर्क. So you cannot take chances. Fine. So this is about these first three topics: simplification, approximation, quadratic, and number series. Let's come to this one: arithmetic and data interpretation. You do not start taking tests before you do arithmetic and data interpretation very thoroughly. उसके बिना mock test का कोई मतलब नहीं है. You will be doing really badly in the mock tests if you do them like that. No, many people master the first 3 topics, can get those 10 questions correct in 3-4 minutes, but then they struggle in DI and arithmetic. No, that's not the way. So before jumping onto the mock tests, you have to take care of your arithmetic and DI as well. Why do I club them? I club them. Look, you would find people would say you do not need arithmetic for DI. I agree. There are many kinds of DI sets in which you do not need arithmetic, but nobody who's good at arithmetic and DI can deny this, that if you're good at arithmetic, it helps in DI. It does help in DI. You use alligation in so many questions in DI and it works so beautifully. Plus they give you sets and profit and loss, even time spread distance and interest and all these days in the kind of DI equations that appear in banks. That's the reason that you have to do arithmetic and then you get into the DI mode. So your arithmetic, if not great, has to be at least decent. Why do you think there are many people who clear or who do well in the prelims exam in quant and fail miserably in the main exam? The reason is simple. What is the reason? They do these first 3 topics, so 10 questions they get correct very quickly. Then they do DI. DI, what is the breakup? Arithmetic and DI. It's generally 15 questions of DI and 10 of arithmetic. So even if they leave those 10 arithmetic questions completely, they can do DI in the remaining 15-16 minutes after getting the first 10 questions correct in 4 minutes. They can get at 25, काम हो जाता है, कट ऑफ निकल जाता है. But what happens in the main exam? In the main exam, भरा पड़ा होता है DI से. It's all DI. And कैसा वाला DI होता है? खतरनाक DI होता है. It's all खतरनाक नहीं होता है actually. We'll talk about it. But yes, it's very different from the kind of DI that appears in prelims. बहुत फर्क होता है उसमें ना. Prelims DI mostly would be average, ratio and all. पता नहीं क्या दे दें, but yeah, it's mostly like that. Mostly doable. But mains DI, it requires application, and that's where your skill in arithmetic is going to play a huge role. क्योंकि देखो यार, उसमें सीधे क्वेश्चन भी आ सकते हैं जिसको आप टॉपिक बेस्ड DI बोलते हो. सो इफ इट्स टॉपिक बेस्ड DI, arithmetic is definitely going to help. Even if it's not topic based DI, आपको सीधे नहीं दिख रहा है तो भी if you're good command over ratio and percentage, average, all these mixtures and solutions, alligation, that's going to help you in DI, all kinds of DI. That's why I say arithmetic and then DI. But yes, as such, arithmetic is not a prerequisite for DI. You can do it parallelly. You can start doing it parallelly because most of the times there is no subject knowledge as such that's required in most of the sets. But this is what you do. Now, what do you have to do? How do you go about it? Let's assume that it's like 30-40 days left for the prelims exam. Arithmetic would have broadly have topics like percentage. If I go in order, that's the order that I follow. Percentage, profit and loss, SICI, profit and loss discount, SICI, and then average, ratio means ratio, mixture and everything. Then time spread distance, which would include boats and all, and the final would be time and work. These would broadly be the topics. There will be small topics like percentage, like partnership and all, which would be a part of percentage, or you can just put them in miscellaneous. So these are broadly the topics in in arithmetic. So I would, if you are somebody who's not already good at it, again I told you about the categories of students. So if you're not already good at it, give yourself around 2 days for each of these topics. Mind it, I'm not saying 2 days exclusively to this. You'll have to do English, you'll have to do reasoning, you'll have to do whatever to do. 2-3 days for each of these topics, as I mentioned. So 2-3 days percentage ka revision and then doing some questions. 2-3 days for profit loss discount. 2-3 days for SICI and partnership. 2-3 days for average, like that. So you give yourself around 20-25 days for revising these topics and doing questions on them. You got the point? You're not new. You must not be new to it. You've done some bit of it. It's just that you need revision. So 2-3 days for revision of each of these topics, so that you are done with the revision in the next 20 days. If you are very good at it already, you do not need a revision like that. You can get to the test straight away. But if you are, you're bad or you are average at it, 2-3 days each test, each topic of these of the arithmetic section, and then after 20 days you'll be in a position when you can say, I have just revised it. I'm good. I've solved some questions on it. In these topics, I would not recommend a number like that. I said 500 in simplification approximation. I'll not give you a number. The reason is simple, that those kind of topics are, they're a little different from arithmetic in the sense that you'll need to think a little. थोड़ा सोचना पड़ेगा. उसमें it's mostly mechanical. So if you're doing quadratic very fast or number series very fast, it's mostly mechanical. You look at the question, you start working. You look at the question. Arithmetic and DI are a little different. Especially in mains, they're very different, but even in prelims, they're a little different. You have to think a little. So it's always good if you solve a lot of questions. That's always advisable. But here, the focus would be more on learning how to solve the problems. There, the focus would be, after learning, doing a lot of practice. So in this, to master prelims, if I have to advise you on what to practice more or what to spend more time on while practicing, I would say, master those first 3 topics. That gives you solid 10 marks in a maximum 4-5 minutes, and then get into that problem solving mode. What does that problem solving mode, or how does that problem solving mode help you? You clear prelims, you do not get a 35 out of 35, but even if you get a 23, 25, 27, 29, it's generally a decent score, assuming that the paper's difficulty level does not change much. It will set you up for your mains preparation. On the other hand, if you leave arithmetic for now, आपने छोड़ दिया completely, and you are relying on DI and the first 3 topics I told you, to 10 from the first 3 topics and then another 15 from DI, because prelims DI generally is very manageable. कुछ होता ही नहीं है उसके अंदर, बहुत आसान होती है. You end up with a 25, you clear prelims and you go to the main exam. What is our objective? Our objective is to clear the prelims? No. Do we get anything by clearing the prelims? No. Just the right to appear in the main exam. Is that enough? No. So many of you are already doing it. कितने साल से कर रहे हो prelims clear? कुछ होता है? नहीं होता. So you'll have to take a tough call. करना है अरिथमेटिक, नहीं छोड़ना है. वी कैन नॉट लीव दैट. मैनी वुड से अरिथमेटिक तो आता ही नहीं मेन में, देयर इज नो अरिथमेटिक, इट विल हेल्प. व्हाई डू यू स्ट्रगल इन दोज लेंथी सेट्स इन मेंस? क्यों प्रॉब्लम होती है? कॉन्सेप्ट क्लियर नहीं है, एलिगेशन लगाना नहीं आता आज तक. यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट पार्ट? दैट इज द रीजन आई एम सेइंग give it time, give it that time. It's important, not at the cost of the things in which you're already good. No, the first 3 I already said 500 questions, and then the practice that you get in the mock tests. But this has to be done this time. इस बार छोड़ना नहीं है, क्योंकि कोई चांस ही लेना है. इस बार SBI PO करना ही करना है ना. करना है तो करना पड़ेगा, कुछ तो डिफरेंट करना पड़ेगा ना. If you want different results, you'll have to do things differently. So what did I say? 20 days for a quick revision of arithmetic, not so quick, but quick revision of arithmetic, so that you get into that groove, you start solving problems, you again can remember those concepts. And I'm not expecting anything unrealistic from you. So if for example you are somebody who says right now I don't touch arithmetic in prelims, fine, हो सकता है ना, बहुत सारे आप में से लोग ऐसे होते हैं. I'm not saying do 10 out of 10 now, no. Even if you do a couple of questions जो जल्दी से देखे अच्छा लगा, even that's good, क्योंकि मेन एग्जाम में you will not be asked to do 35 out of 35. Out of 35, most good people would do around 15, assuming again that the difficulty level remains the same. 20 would be a very very good attempt. Most people get through with just doing the 10 questions. But what enables you to do those 10 questions? कैसे कर पाओगे वो भी? When you build your base from here. So I am hoping that most of you, many of you have already done some bit of it, you are okay at it, but अभी इसको छोड़ नहीं दोगे, करते रहोगे. Arithmetic and DI in prelims is manageable, but I would accept one thing, and जो है वो तो है. Arithmetic in prelims is not very scoring. The reason is simple. If you look at a quadratic, there are just 2 lines. You look at it, you straight away know the answer. Arithmetic, if it's 2-3 lines written over there, you have to read it, comprehend it, and then solve it. Isn't it? It takes time. DI, the advantage is that if it's a set that's given, you read it, but after reading it you get 5 questions, so you comprehend it in 1 minute, another 5 questions, another 3 4 5 minutes, 5 minutes 5 questions, or 3 4 minutes 5 questions. It looks like a good deal. Arithmetic देख के लगता है कि नहीं यार छोड़ देते हैं, which is okay. I don't mind if you leave arithmetic in prelims, or you'll try and maximize the score. So after doing the first 3 types and DI, you're left with time. कर लो arithmetic. If you're very good at arithmetic already, पहले ही कर लो. अगर मैं करूँगा सबसे पहले arithmetic करूँगा अभी भी. So it will be different for different people. As I told you, your preparation, your strategy to take the test should be always be customizable. But कर लो. इस position में आप होने चाहिए. Another reason for this, when I advise all these things, another reason is, what if it's 20 questions of arithmetic in the exam this time? आ सकता है ना? You'll again be taking a chance like that. So आ तो कुछ भी सकता है आने को, तो ज्योमेट्री मेंसुरेशन भी आ सकता है, बट उसका चांस कम है. आई एम नॉट प्रिडिक्टिंग इट, बट कम चांस है. बट arithmetic, yeah, it can be 15 questions. So what if it's 15 in arithmetic and 10 DI this time? It can be anything. So you'll have to be prepared that way. And दूसरी बात वो मेंस में हेल्प करने वाला है. So arithmetic and DI plus the first 3 topics, and then you are eligible to take the mock test. It works like that, and I'm just going to show you the breakup once again. This is the breakup, right? So for prelims, this is a must. This is a must. You might not attempt too much from this in the prelims, but you still have to do it before prelims. After prelims, till mains, mastering arithmetic might be tough. So you do DI, you do arithmetic for prelims. Even if you don't attempt questions of arithmetic in prelims, that's fine. That's for people who are average or below average or bad. People who are good, I'm sure they would do everything, this and this. People get 35 in quant and prelims, you know that, right? When we come to this part, geometry, mensuration, PNC and probability, that's why I made those categories. Now, this is very tricky. If you ask me करना चाहिए कि नहीं करना चाहिए, you have these kind of questions, I would say करना चाहिए. What is the reason why I would say करना चाहिए? 2 reasons. One, as I already said a few times, paper can change. What if out of 35 questions in mains, 10 hour of geometry mensuration slash PNC probability. These are not 2 but 4 topics: geometry, mensuration, PNC and probability. इसमें से आगे 10-15 क्वेश्चन तो क्या होगा? This is one problem. Very unlikely, trust me. I'm not trying to predict. I'm just trying to prepare you for any kind of eventuality. But that's possible. Theoretically, तो possible है ना, आ सकते हैं. This is one reason. 2, what if an easier question comes from this? I've seen a question in mains from mensuration with a bit of arithmetic, a very, very simple one. So generally what I've seen is they give you easy questions from these topics. Generally, we cannot predict it. Look, we look at the past papers, the past trends, and try and make our strategy. But we do not just depend on it. I'll come to this part also. This is a mistake that many of you already do. हम उसको देखकर अगले साल की तैयारी नहीं करेंगे. बस it just gives a kind of an indication कि हमें कैसे करना है. But we don't bank on it. हम उस पर rely नहीं करने वाले कि ऐसे आने वाला है. You'll be for a rude shock that way. आप देख ही रहे हो क्या हो रहा है. हर बार पेपर चेंज हो जाता है, हर बार कुछ ना कुछ होता है. जीके में आप देख ही रहे हो क्या चल रहा है. So you'll have to prepare holistically, जिसमें you'll have to be prepared for every kind of situation, isn't it? That's the way we'll prepare. तो उस तरीके से I would say करना चाहिए. But again, my recommendation would be different for different kind of people. If you're good, again, getting a consistently good score in quant, you cannot leave these topics. These are simple topics. You do not have to get into the kind of depth that you do for geometry mensuration in say an SSC CGL kind of an exam. No, just know the basics. 10th की बुक उठाओ, सिर्फ उसमें जो कॉन्सेप्ट्स वगैरह आपने देखे थे in geometry mensuration, just from that 10th standard book, just do that. That should be enough. Those questions should be enough. It should not happen that you don't remember what is the volume of a sphere and surface area of a cone. Right? You get the point? वो basic similarity आप ना भूल गए हो. इसी के लिए I'm saying just do that. If you have done permutation, combination and probability ever before in life, it will not take you more than a couple of days to revise those basic things. वो ball draw करने वाले questions आते हैं, no? There's a bag in which these are balls, red balls and blue balls. इतने आसान होते हैं, उसमें ज़्यादा कुछ होता नहीं है. So just do them. This is for good students. Now, if you are average and the things seem to be under control, आपके पास time है. You think you can manage your GK and reasoning and English and writing and all those things and still can find time. I would suggest you do it. देख लेना, आप decide करो क्या करना है. For people who are struggling in quant, this is not to be touched. Fine. That's the reason we made categories of students. No, you are already struggling. Your best bet would be to leave these 2 topics. What students am I talking about? Who are still struggling. जो अभी भी struggle कर रहे हैं, not scoring well, who do not feel confident about even basic topics like simplification, approximation, number series वगैरह वगैरह, even arithmetic DI. You don't have to get into geometry mensuration or PNC probability just because you believe your friends are doing that. No, they are different. आप अलग हो. उनको कॉपी मत करो. At times we make incorrect usage of critical reasoning. This guy is a topper. Listen to me, this is important. This guy is a topper. He has done geometry, mensuration, PNC, probability, everything. That's the reason he's a topper. No, that is not the reason he's a topper. He has probably done all these things because he's already good at it. So better thought, why do I take chances? Let's do everything. हो सकता है paper में इस बार ही आ जाए. It's like that. But you do have to take a chance because you've got limited time left. You're already struggling. When you're struggling, you have to pick those kind of questions that have the maximum probability of appearing. So probability is not one of those topics. So what is it? Arithmetic, DI, simplification, approximation, quadratic and number series. Stick to that. Don't do anything else. You get the point? आपको चांस लेना पड़ेगा क्योंकि अगर आप सब जगह थोड़ा थोड़ा करोगे कहाँ से स्कोर करोगे यार. सो आई मीन डोंट कम बैक टू मीन से अगर मान लो इस बार ज्योमेट्री ज़्यादा आ गया, मेंसुरेशन आ गया, सर आपने सजेस्ट किया था. नहीं, आई एम सजेस्टिंग इट अकॉर्डिंग टू योर सिचुएशन. इफ़ यू आर बैड एट इट, इफ यू आर बैड एट मैथ्स, यू आर स्टिल स्ट्रगलिंग, geometry, mensuration, PNC and probability is not for you. It's only for those people who've got time, who do not want to take chances, who think they can maximize their score. I explained it in detail for you, but for people who are struggling, छोड़ दो. Do not even think about it. And one more thing, do not feel bad about leaving those topics. आप समझ रहे हो, बहुत ही important है. So even in prelims, at times I've seen a probability question. So if there are 2 questions probability in prelims, leave that. क्या problem है? It's just 2 out of 35, 33 would still be there. Even if it's a set of 3 questions of probability in prelims, it'll just be 3 out of 35. 32 would still be left. अरे यार आप तो struggle कर रहे हो ना, 32 में से नहीं कर सकते क्या? Just think about it. You're still struggling. You're struggling to get a 15 and you're worrying about those 3 questions of probability. Should you? No. Use your common sense. वो तो है ना, मैथ्स में खराब, वो common sense तो अभी भी है ना. छोड़ दो उनको, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. इन दोनों टॉपिक्स को आप छोड़ दो, सोचो ही मत. They don't exist in the syllabus for me. When I do well in the exam and I'll go to those idiots who did those topics and I'll tell them कि देखो यार मैंने नहीं करा, नहीं आया, तुम ही बेवकूफ थे जो कर रहे थे. उनको बोलना, देखो यार जो भी हम लाइफ में करते हैं ना, वी हैव टू कन्विंस अवरसेल्व्स फर्स्ट दैट इज द राइट कोर्स. और वो सबके लिए अलग अलग होता है. ऐसा नहीं होता कि वो वन साइज फिट्स ऑल वाला नहीं चलता है. जो मैंने टी शर्ट का एग्जाम्पल दिया ना, मीडियम, स्मॉल, लार्ज, देखो कौन सी टी शर्ट आपको फिट आती है तब खरीदो ना. ये नहीं मेरा दोस्त लार्ज पहनता है तो मैं भी लार्ज पहनूंगा. क्यों? क्योंकि यार वो तो मेरा रोल मॉडल है. दैट्स idiocy of the highest level. No, inspiration लो. देखो when you look at the strategies and all, listen to everybody and then think what's there in it for me. It's the key. Please understand. You listen to a topper speaking about it. You listen to a student who was very bad, still made it. You listen to that student. No, you don't pick everything from it. You listen to those parts. You listen to everything, but you pick those parts that you think are relevant for you. What's your learning from there? So, for example, there's a student who says he was very bad. He somehow slogged it and cracked the exam. You don't pick everything from him. Why? Because you might be naturally good at maths. उसने बोला I did 2000 series questions. So you would not need to probably do 2000 series questions if you are naturally good at it. You get the point. So जो कुछ टॉपर बोलते हैं या इवन जो टीचर्स बोलते हैं बहुत प्रिस्क्रिप्टिव होकर, सब जरूरी नहीं सच हो, क्योंकि उनका जो एडवाइस होती है बहुत टाइम्स इट्स यूनिडाइमेंशनल, एक ही दिशा में भाग रही होती है. तो अगर किसी ने बोला मैंने 3000 क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करे क्वाड्रेटिक के मास्टर करने से पहले, जरूरी नहीं आपको भी 3000 लगे. हो सकता है 500 में कर लो, हो सकता है आपको 5000 लग जाए. डू यू गेट द पॉइंट? कस्टमाइज इट. आई हैव गिवन यू broad kind of a flow chart wherein you can say अगर मैं खराब हूँ तो ऐसा, if I'm a mediocre student then ऐसा, if I'm a good student I do it like that. Because the idea is to optimize your prep and the ways that you have to take to optimize your prep would be different for different students. Let us come to this fourth segment now, data sufficiency and quantity comparison. Now for me these are not any new topics. It's like what if there are true false kind of questions in the paper tomorrow? हो सकते हैं. What if there are match the following kind of questions tomorrow? There can be any kind of questions. Fill in the blanks. They have already started appearing incidentally in the bank exams, like that. So it can be any kind of questions. So when it's a fill in the blank or a match the following or a true false or something like that, it's not a new question. Fine. It's not a new topic. It's just the way the question is formatted. Just that. It can be a new type tomorrow. So all new types are not challenging. First tell yourself that if you have done your topics I already told you those 3 for prelims special topics वो mains में ज़्यादा नहीं आते. Arithmetic DI, if you have done that कुछ भी कर लोगे, ज़्यादातर कुछ भी कर लोगे. So if it's a new type it should not bother you much. So don't think data sufficiency is a new topic. Quantity comparison is a new topic. What is it? कभी पढ़ा है उसमें? अगर आप अच्छे आपने पढ़ा है, अगर आप खराब हो just go through a DS question. What does it say? If you can answer this question using statement 1 तो ये मार्क कर दो, statement 2 ये मार्क कर दो. If you need both the pieces of data ये मार्क कर दो. Simple. Quantity comparison. What is it? It's like doing two quant questions together. Question 1, question 2, you just compare kaun sa bada hai, kaun sa chota hai, and then accordingly you mark that. It's not a new type. No. So if you do all what I told you in the first two segments of this, when arithmetic DI and simplification, approximation, quadratic and number series, it means you're good to do any question type. So you do not have to put in any extra effort in mastering data sufficiency or quantity comparison. No, it's not required. When you are done with these topics and you take your mock tests, you would encounter questions on data sufficiency and quantity comparison. That's it. That's what you need. Nothing else. So don't think like I have done arithmetic, I've done DI, I've done all those three topics and geometry and mensuration and PNC and probability, but I have not done data sufficiency. No, you've done everything. Data sufficiency कोई calculus थोड़ा ना पूछने वाला है. You get the point. So these are not new, and they can be a third type, a fourth type, a fifth type. They can include quantity comparison in DI, they can include data sufficiency in DI, and all such kinds of permutations or combinations will not make your life tougher as long as you're confident, you know you've done the topics, you've actually done the topics, you're scoring well in it, and you feel confident about your preparation. Trust me, it's not going to trouble you. I'm just going to show that to you. For me, this is nothing. If you know this, this part, mostly this part, this would be manageable. At times they club this, that's also okay, but these together in itself, they hardly appear in the paper. You're going to ask me one more thing. I told you about practice of these 500 questions at least. What about this? Iski kitni practice karni hai, isn't going to ask me this. Now yahan practice thoda sa different hai. Be in touch. Fine. So I told you first 20 days you need to master the concepts of arithmetic, assuming that you're not uninitiated. Apne aaj start nahi karna hai, aapko aata hai. After that, you'll be solving some questions alongside. After that, if you do just 5 to 10 questions daily of arithmetic, random topics, you'll keep in touch. And what will happen is that if you learned a particular concept and you do not solve a problem on it for say 3 months or 2 months, you tend to forget it. But when you keep solving questions, it can happen through mocks, it can happen through independent questions, PDFs and whatnot. Then you kind of keep bumping into those same concepts that you learned earlier by doing your concepts. Nahi, hota hai na aisa? Arey, I did that a month back, but now I can recall it. So that revision also keeps happening, and the practice would also help. So those two things will happen simultaneously along with it. I would say solve say something like 2-3 DI sets daily, prelims kind of DI sets. What you can leave at the time being would be tougher DI sets. I'm not saying don't do it. Again, depends on situation. If you're somebody who's very good, already good, doing well, solve everything. You can even solve mains mock tests. But if you're somebody who's still not very sure about the level of preparation for prelims, आपको अभी भी डर है prelims में ना रह जाएं, you might feel as if you not want to get stuck in prelims, then you can probably stick to prelims kind of questions in DI. There's some difference, though I'm against saying prelims DI, mains DI and all those things. Prelims DI would be easier DI, nothing much to teach, nothing much to do. It's just that you need to gather pace in it. ज़्यादा जल्दी सॉल्व करना होता है एंड कुछ गलत नहीं करना होता है. मेंस DI would be application based and can even involve that missing DI and topic based DI, all those things that you say. So if you believe you shorten time, the time that you get between prelims and mains, I think you'll get around a month, 3-4 weeks. You can focus extensively on mains kind of questions in DI. Right now you don't get into very tough questions. In any case, it should be gradual, no? You keep increasing your level gradually. So stick to those questions that are either prelims kind of questions, आसान वाले लगते हैं, कुछ ज़्यादा नहीं होता, just to build speed. कुछ है नहीं उसमें ज़्यादा, but just to build speed, you'll have to solve those questions. Or those questions that would be, what do you call them? Easier mains level questions, those kind of questions. For the tough ones, you can leave them for later. इतना कर सकते हो, 3-4 सेट रोज सॉल्व करो DI के. कहाँ से करेंगे? All those PDFs and practice sets and all. I would suggest, if you don't have it already, buy that master package of Olive or practice mock in which they give you all the tests. सब कुछ दे देते हैं for all the insurance exams and clerk exams and PO exams and all. The benefit of that would be that you'll get access to all those tests. So when you run out of practice questions, good contemporary practice questions, you can open other tests. Clerk exam is already done, for SBI it's done, right? So all those tests of SBI clerk that are now available there can serve as your practice package. Isn't it? Those questions are much better than doing say a book like Arun Sharma and all. I'm not saying those are bad books, they are very good books, but the reason why I'm saying this is better is because the kind of questions they have in those books are a little different from the kind of questions that appear in the bank exams. Concept देखो same ही है. So if you're good at problem solving, you'll solve everything. But if you have to solve something and you have limited time to solve, so I would say solve those questions that appear in the test series of all these test prep companies, as compared to solving a CAT quant book. had it been January 2021, I would have said solve all those books, Nishit Verma, Arun Sharma, and Quantum, and all those kind of books. They're all good books. But right now, you need practice on those kind of questions that appear in the bank exams. Who gives you those kind of questions? Those people who are making all these test series. Fine. At times, they give you questions that are like way tougher than what appears in the main exams even. So you can always leave that. You're smart people. Look, you would never do questions that you think you would never be able to do in the actual exam. इस बात को याद रखना, नहीं इसमें ही नहीं, सब में, even in puzzles, even in RC, बहुत ही मुश्किल है यार. I would never do that. तो इसको मैं अभी भी क्यों कर रहा हूँ? Realistically, there are two kinds of challenges when it comes to quant, any kind of problem solving. One are those questions, and it's very important, listen carefully. One is those types that you think if you knew this question previously, you would do it. अगर पता होता तो मैं कर लेता. Now अगर आएगा, if it comes now, I'll be able to do it. This is one type. Two would be that type that I call drudgery, that involves drudgery, और बहुत ही बहुत मेहनत कराते हैं. That you'd say कुछ है तो नहीं, there is nothing in it, but it will take me 40 minutes to solve this. Now who would solve this damn set? आप समझ रहे बात को? So this first type can be mastered. So if there's a question that's very tough for you because you do not have exposure to it, you should work towards it. But if there is a question that you believe you know, but it involves so many calculations that it will take you 40-50 minutes doing it, would it be any good? कभी करोगे नहीं ना पेपर में. इसका मतलब क्या है? इसको छोड़ देना है. So test series have been guilty of giving you those type 2 questions very often. So when you come out of the examination hall and tell everybody paper बहुत मुश्किल था, at times you means type 1. You were not exposed to that kind of questions and you could not do it. It was tricky. There was something which if it had clicked to you, you could have done quickly, but it did not click, you could not do it. And what they make is a question that involves 1000 calculations. Will take 50 minutes. So leave those kind of questions. Yeah, you cannot blame them. मुश्किल बनाना था, मुश्किल बना दिया. किस टाइप का मुश्किल बनाया, नहीं समझ पाया. So you get both type 1 and type 2. I hope you understand the difference. This is specific to mains. Don't touch those questions that you believe you would never be able to do in the exam. इतनी सारी कैलकुलेशन है, कैसे करूंगा यार, नहीं कर सकता. I cannot do it. Leave that there as well. फिर भी अच्छे नंबर आ जाएंगे. The trick is to be smart. You have to be smart while preparing, while taking the test. Don't do puzzles that you cannot do in the exam. Don't do DI sets that you cannot do in the exam. Don't do any such question that you think you cannot do in the exam. If you think you can raise your level to the extent that you will be able to handle it in the exam, अगर पता हो तो कर लूँगा, अगर अभी पता होता तो अभी कर लेता. Now if I know this, I'll next time be able to do it in the exam. Then that is fine. But there's this difference. It involves so many steps. It involves so many steps that I don't think I will ever be able to do it. हो ही नहीं सकता. Realistically not possible. Trust me, even All India Rank 1 would not be able to do that question, or would not be doing that question, because if he does that question, he or she would not be All India Rank 1. Who is All India Rank 1? Who is smart? They don't get into idiotic tougher questions. वो आप अपने ego की लड़ाई कर रहे हो. क्यों करनी है यार? I'm smart. What would I do? I'll pick the easier questions in the paper and just do them. What do we learn from this? What is the moral of the story? हम खराब हैं, अच्छे हैं, average हैं, जो भी हैं. We have to pick our preparation plan according to our current levels. We have to then try and improve the level with realistic expectations. When you talk about batting, बुमराह से रोहित शर्मा नहीं बनना है. समझ गए? बुमराह से शार्दुल ठाकुर की तरफ जाना है, उससे जडेजा की तरफ जाना है, उससे ऊपर. You go like that. ये realistic expectation है, वही रखनी है. अगले साल अगर आप रोहित शर्मा बनना चाहते हो, मेरे को कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. But for this exam, it'll be tough. Have realistic expectations. Aim high, but even this is a high aim. So Bumrah, if he expects to have a test average of 20 by the time his career ends, that's like aiming really high. Get the point? So everything is in context. Everything is relative in life. So set realistic expectations. Don't copy people mindlessly. क्योंकि वो टॉपर है, मैं उसको कॉपी करूंगा, गलत अप्रोच है. छोड़ दो. You do it. You know you do it, and उसमें आप फंस जाते हो. वो टॉपर है probably because he was better conditioned. हो सकता है वो बचपन से पढ़ रहा हो, हो सकता है इसकी इंग्लिश बहुत अच्छी है, हो सकता है is naturally good at maths. There are so many things. You cannot copy him or her mindlessly. Don't do that. Look at where you stand currently and then make your preparation plan. Then 2, stick to it. Stick to it no matter what. You would judge yourself whether you're good, whether you're bad, not so good, not so bad after the exam. रिजल्ट बता ही देगा ना. वाई डू वाई आर सो क्रिटिकल ऑफ योर सेल्फ मेनी टाइम्स. मुझसे हो नहीं रहा है, मुझ कर नहीं पाऊंगा. एक ही प्रॉमिस करना है अपने आप से, क्या? आई विल डू माई बेस्ट. बस आई वुड डू वॉट एवर आई कैन डू. आई वुड नॉट लीव एनीथिंग टू चांस एंड लीव द रिजल्ट टू फेट, देख लेंगे, भगवान के हाथ में छोड़ देते हैं क्या होगा। मैं अपनी तैयारी करते रहूँगा। आप क्या करते हो ना, यू बिकम योर सेल्फ एन एग्जामिनर एवरी सेकेंड डे। आई डिड दिस, आई कैन नॉट सी एनी डिफरेंस, क्या फ़ायदा करने का? You're probably running from the reality then. No, you've not given yourself enough time. It's a process. Be a part of the process of improvement. It'll be a joy to learn something new, something good, and at the same time clear the exam. Try and enjoy this journey. It'll be a lot of fun, but it would be like a journey. थोड़ा करके करना होगा. When you start doing these three along with these two, from this point, from this very point, you are automatically preparing for your main exam. And many people ask this question कि मैं मेंस की तैयारी अभी करूँ, बाद में करूँ, व्हेन डू आई स्टार्ट? इफ़ यू आर डूइंग अरिथमेटिक डीआई along with those three topics, you are already preparing for mains. Don't worry about that. It's getting done automatically. खुद से ही तैयारी हो रही है, कुछ उसमें स्पेशल नहीं करना है. इसके लिए I already told you for these three kinds of students, different strategies. These two are nothing. Just solve some questions and it will happen in all those practice packages and mocks and all, and you would be good at it. I'm just telling you the flow. The flow would be like that. This is practice questions random, like the way I told you, 500 here and all, and 3-4 DI sets here. Then would be sectional mocks. This is sectional mocks. Sectional mocks means that you are doing that 35 question test of 20 minutes, and for the main exam that 35 question test of 45 minutes in quant. And then will be full length mock. It would be like that. Now again you'd ask me, इसका कब से किसने स्टार्ट करना है? मतलब आई मीन व्हेन डू आई स्टार्ट टेकिंग ऑल दीज काइंड्स ऑफ टेस्ट्स? इफ़ यू आर वेल प्रिपेयर्ड करंटली, इफ़ यू थिंक दैट यू आर इन अ पोजिशन दैट you're getting a decent score and you just want to push your scores further, you can start taking prelims mocks, you can start taking even mains mocks in between. But for mains mocks I would say one mock every 4-5 days, 6 days is fine. For those people who are still struggling in prelims mocks, अभी के लिए mains छोड़ दो, ज़रूरत नहीं है. But you have to get to that level where at least you start taking the prelims mocks very soon. And if you ask me a number, कितने देने mocks, and you'll ask this question at some stage, I would say 15-20 mocks at least you should take. So practice questions first, then 10-15 sectional mock tests, 10-15 sectional mock tests, and more in the section in which you think you struggle. So you struggle in quant, so 10-15 sectional mock tests. You take sectional mock tests till the time you hit your target score. I told you the criteria. If you're very good, you believe you're very good, till the time you start getting that 99 consistently, you can probably take sectional mock tests. From where do I get sectional mock tests? Buy another test series. बहुत ही सस्ता सा product है, you can always get another test series. And after that, full length mock tests. So the strategy might be different for different sections, in the sense that if you believe you're poor in quant but good in reasoning and English, so you might not need many sectional tests in reasoning and English, but might need 15-20 sectional tests in quant. This again is customization. I told you about the sizes, no? सोचो क्या साइज आपको फिट हो रहा है, फिर वो कपड़ा पहनो, उसी तरीके से. सो टेक सेक्शनल मॉक टेस्ट वेयर यू थिंक यू नीड सेक्शनल मॉक टेस्ट. सो द टॉपर टेक्स रीजनिंग सेक्शनल मॉक टेस्ट बिकॉज रीजनिंग इज इज पोरेस्ट सेक्शन, वीकेस्ट सेक्शन. फॉर यू इट माइट बी क्वांट. कॉपी नहीं मारना है. ही टोल्ड यू आई टुक 25 सेक्शनल मॉक टेस्ट ऑफ क्वांट. ही डिड दैट प्रोबेबली बिकॉज वो कमजोर था उसके अंदर, ही वाज नॉट गुड एट इट. आपको हो सकता है इंग्लिश में जरूरत पड़ जाए. यू गॉट द पॉइंट. बट द फ्लो वुड बी लाइक दैट. प्रैक्टिस क्वेश्चंस, मास्टरिंग द कॉन्सेप्ट्स, फर्स्ट स्टेज. Sectional mock tests based on requirements. I'm not good at quant. I somehow still need to get some marks. कुछ तो लाना है. उसके लिए sectional mock test would help. 3 full length mock tests and analysis. How many full length mock tests for mains? At least 5-7 mains mock tests. For prelims at least 15-20. But what I'm against is I've seen again people talking about it. 3 mock tests daily and you don't do anything else and you're through. Look, this might work for somebody. This might work for somebody who is like well prepared, done everything. कुछ करने के लिए नहीं है. Prelims का रोज दिन में बैठ के 3 mock test लगा लिए. It might work. I'm not saying it's the best strategy, but it might work. So different things work for different people. But for an average student, generally speaking, this is not a good strategy. No, you have to do revision. You have to work in weak areas and then take mocks in between. But yes, in a week, 10 days, 15 days time, you can come to a stage where you would say, I have to take at least 1 prelims mock test daily. And at least 1. It can be 2 if you believe that everything seems to be under control. But what is that one thing that I would definitely recommend you to do? Take a mock test, analyze it. What is the analysis of mock tests? There is a playlist on this channel in which we have talked about it extensively. Analyze karna hai. You have to improve your scores. The scores would not improve automatically. You take 1 mock test, 2 mock tests, 3 mock tests, and the scores would keep improving automatically. No, it will not happen. It will happen only when you take the test, work on the shortcomings, the weaknesses, your follies, galtiyan jo aapne ki hain, and then you go to the second one. You try not to repeat your mistakes. You make fresh mistakes. In the third one, you incorporate the learning from the first 2 mock tests, and likewise you continue. It goes on like that, and then on the day of the test, you perform optimally. What is that optimal performance? It doesn't mean getting a perfect score. No, it means hitting your target score. What are the target scores? I already talked about it. For a good student, 99 plus. Current good student. Look, when I say good, bad, average, it's these terms, I actually don't like using these terms, good, bad, average. सब लोग अच्छे हैं क्या good, bad, average? It's your current state. Current state का मतलब समझते हो? You're not getting good scores at this point. So for me, you are a bad student when it comes to maths at this stage. That's the meaning. You can be an excellent student next year. That's the meaning. That's your current state. It's like t-shirt sizes, no? I might be wearing a medium these days. Might have to wear a large if I put on weight. No, it's like that. So you might be a bad student today. So what's your target range? You have to cross a 75, 80. If you can get a 90, wonderful, amazing. When 99, outstanding, अलग ही level हो जाएगा. But yes, be realistic. इतना कम से कम लेकर आना है और ला सकते हो. Everybody can get that target score of 75, 80 if you just take care of a few basic things. Mocks को ठीक से analyze करो. Look at those things that you left in the exam that you should have done, could have been done easily. Look at those questions where you wasted time. Look at those silly mistakes. Eliminate those errors and be realistic. Don't waste your time and repeating this again and again because people keep repeating these mistakes. Don't waste your time on doing those questions that you believe you would never be able to do. There might be a tricky question that you might spend some time on, but now once you understand it, now I'll be able to do it. That's fine. You can give it time. But don't waste time on questions that you believe you will never be able to do. One question that you keep asking is, when I analyze the mock test, do I do everything from the questions? This is especially true for mains. No, not everything. Look at those questions that you believe should have done, but you did not do because they did not click at that point and then they were doable. तो मैं करने लायक थे, मुझे नहीं चमके, मैंने छोड़ दिए अगली बार करने, उनको देखना है. A question, even if I understand, I would not be able to do it. नहीं करना है, छोड़ दो उसको, छोड़ दो, उस पर टाइम नहीं खराब करना है. I've seen people arguing with us on that. सर ये भी कर लूँगा मैं, क्यों करना है? मतलब you do not have to solve all those 60 marks worth questions. No, you are getting a 10. Be realistic. What do you need to get now? From a 10 to a 15-20, from a 15-20 to a 25-30. And the moment that 25-30 happens, you'll be so content, you're so happy with yourself. आप बोलोगे कुछ करने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. So that's the irony. The people who are scoring well are not trying to do those questions that are idiotic, idiotically tough. People who are not scoring well are trying, or they intend to waste their time in doing those questions that are not to be done. And probably that's the reason why the scores are like that. समझने की कोशिश करिए. मैथ्स इंपॉर्टेंट है, कॉमन सेंस सबसे ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है. सबसे पहले वो लगाइए, फिर मैथ्स खुद से सेटल हो जाएगा. सो आई होप दैट्स ऑल. दैट्स ब्रॉडली थिंग आई वांट टू टेल यू. देखो, मेहनत करनी पड़ेगी थोड़ी सी, बट करने लायक है. कुछ भी ऐसा नहीं मैंने आपसे बोला जो अनरियलिस्टिक है. यू माइट नॉट बिलीव दैट यू कैन गेट अ 99 percentile इन मैथ्स. दैट्स ओके. वेरी बैड, गेट अ 75-80. other subjects should do the job for you, but this is doable. When look at your mock papers again, test papers again, and try and find out कौन सा वो एरिया था जहाँ मैं कुछ कर सकता था. बस यही करना है. You get the point. At times कैसे, चलो क्रिकेट का एग्जाम्पल देता हूँ. No, you have to get 100 runs to win, and you're left with your last 2-3 batsmen. If they start thinking about 100 रन तो मैं बना ही नहीं सकता, 100 रन तो मैंने जीवन में नहीं बनाए, कैसे बनेंगे? My cumulative total in test matches is not 100. How do I make this 100? कभी नहीं करेगा यार. पहली बॉल पे बोल्ड हो जाने वाला है, पहले ओवर में बोल्ड हो जाएगा ना. How do they think? They'll not think of it as a 100-run target. They'll just think of it as taking it ball by ball. I have to survive this ball. I have to survive the next ball, or I have to survive this over. I have to survive till T. That's how they think, and that's how they make runs. You know that ना, कुछ तो स्पोर्ट खेला होगा ना. तो जो भी खेला है, क्रिकेट नहीं भी खेला है, तो you take it session by session, you break it up into smaller targets. So the problem happens when you look at that huge thing in front of you. I've not done anything till now, and how do I jump this or cross this mountain? करना ही नहीं है. One step at a time, without getting frustrated, without looking at others. I would tell you a small tip. You don't compare yourself to anybody else. No, you don't compare yourself to anybody else. किसी से देखो ही मत. what a friend is getting, how they are improving, and where they stand currently. No, if you're not doing good specifically, then you might end up getting frustrated. You look at where you were 10 days back, where you were 15, 20 days back, 30 days back. And if you believe that you have done better than, or you are currently doing better than what you were doing 10 days back, 15 days back, then you are on course. आप ठीक कर रहे हो. If you think you are exactly where you stood 15, 20 days back, it means there's something wrong with the way you're doing things. You get the point? The problem is that you might be doing everything right, but you are improving at a gradual pace, slow pace, धीरे धीरे बढ़ रहे हो. And you look at that one person that you really look up to, ये बहुत अच्छा करता है, and you compare yourself with that person, and you will believe, अरे नहीं यार, मेरा तो सब गड़बड़ी चल रहा है, and then you don't study for 3 days. ये मत करना यार, this would be bad. अपने से कंपेयर करो, रियलिस्टिक टारगेट सेट करो, एंड जैसा भी जितना भी करना आता है उसको कर दो. बुमराह टाइप की बैटिंग करनी है, जितनी भी करनी है ना पूरा अप्लाई कर दूंगा, जितनी भी बैटिंग आती है. तो व्हाट डू आई से देन, जितना भी मैथ्स आता है पूरा अप्लाई कर दूंगा. आई विल अप्लाई वॉट एवर मैथ्स आई नो. सिंपल. आई एम नॉट ट्राइंग टू बिकम अ मैथमेटिशियन. व्हाट वुड आई डू? आई वुड अप्लाई वॉट एवर मैथ्स आई नो. I would, no, at the time of the exam, the target would be, I would try and maximize my score with whatever little knowledge I have. And trust me, all of you have that knowledge that you can get some score. Get that some score. Get that few marks. It'll give you confidence. You'll get more marks. And that would be enough. We have done enough mock analysis sessions on this channel. देख लो, I'll put that link also in the description box. उनको देखो, समझ में आएगा कैसे स्कोर किया जाता है. डरो मत. Be realistic. Fine. अपने में विश्वास रखो, भगवान ने बुद्धि दी है. यूज दैट टू गुड इफेक्ट. ये तो टाइम है ना इस्तेमाल करने का. इस्तेमाल करो, विश्वास रखो, मेहनत करो, सब कुछ ठीक हो जाएगा. इन द एंड आई वुड से डोंट बी स्केयर्ड ऑफ इट. डोंट बी स्केयर्ड ऑफ मैथ्स और क्वांट. शो सम लव टू इट. मैथ्स को थोड़ा सा प्यार दो. इट वुड लव यू बैक इन अ वे दैट नो अदर सब्जेक्ट डज. ट्रस्ट मी, बहुत प्यार वापस मिलेगा. नो, थोड़ा सा ये आपको जो मन मुटाव है ना, इसको दूर कर लो यार. गेट फ्रेंडली विद मैथ्स, एंड नो यू माइट नॉट गेट ग्रेट एट इट. ट्रस्ट मी, यू वुड रीच अ लेवल इन 2.5 months. ज़्यादा भी नहीं बोल रहा मैं कुछ कि एग्जाम क्लियर हो जाएगा. यही ऑब्जेक्टिव है ना अभी. यू कैन कीप लविंग मैथ्स फॉर एवर. नो, यू माइट डच इट, आई डोंट केयर, बट इतना कर लो कि एग्जाम निकल जाए. आई शुड नॉट हियर फ्रॉम एनीबडी आफ्टर 3 months, सर मैथ्स की वजह से ना एग्जाम रह गया. एंड राइट नाउ सो मेनी फील लाइक दैट. ट्रस्ट मी, इट इज़ डूएबल. But don't think about instant gratification. Don't think that मुझसे हो ही नहीं सकता, that कुछ भी कर लूँगा, I would not be able to do it, I would falter in the exam because of maths and all those things, because then you're starting on the back foot already with a lot of negative thoughts, with a mental block in your mind. Don't do that. ये मत करो. Tell yourself, I might not be very good at it, but I'll be able to manage it. बस इतना अपने आप से बता दो. आई वुड बी एबल टू मैनेज इट. मैनेज कर लूँगा मैं. इतना हो जाएगा कि मैनेज कर लूँगा. तो कुछ लोग बहुत बड़े गाड़ी नहीं चलाते, ड्राइवर बहुत अच्छे नहीं होते, लाइसेंस मिल जाता है, गाड़ी चला लेते हैं. बस उतना गाड़ी चला लेना काफ़ी है. मतलब इतना ना हो किसी को ठोक दो. मतलब इतना 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 किस तरीके से मैनेज कर लो, हो जाएगा. आई एम टेलिंग यू, इतना हो जाएगा कि एग्ज़ाम निकल जाए. बस बाकी बाद में देखेंगे. यू नॉट हैव टू डू मच इन इट. इतना पॉसिबल है. व्हाट आई से, इवन फॉर द पुअरेस्ट स्टूडेंट्स, a 75-80 percentile, that should be enough, provided you do well in the other subjects, which I am assuming you would do. Otherwise कैसे चलेगा, हो जाएगा ना. तो ठीक है यार, लग जाओ. अभी से काफ़ी टाइम है, बहुत टाइम है. फील कॉन्फिडेंट अबाउट इट. नया अपने आप से एक प्रॉमिस करो, आई वुड रिमूव दिस प्रॉब्लम ऑफ माइंड. ख़त्म करनी है इसको. देखो, पहला स्टेप क्या, एक्सेप्ट करना. एक्सेप्ट कर लिया, मैथ्स में मेरी प्रॉब्लम है, कर लिया, ठीक है, ओके, इट्स ओके, इट्स फाइन. अब क्या है, इलाज करना है ना. You have an illness, you go to the doctor and then they fix it. So you have a problem, you accept it. Who's the doctor? You are the doctor. Fix it. करना है ना इलाज, ठीक करना है ना इसको, एग्जाम क्लियर करना है ना. Do you have a choice? No. So choices are just two. One, you keep regretting, lamenting about it. शिकायत करते रहो, खराब हूँ मैं, खराब हूँ, मैथ्स क्यों आता है. दूसरा क्या है, आता तो आता है, I don't have a choice, I have to fix it because I have to get into the State Bank of India as a probationary officer. I don't have a choice. ऑप्शन ही नहीं है मेरे पास, करना ही है. तो करते हैं यार, रोके क्यों करना है, खुश होकर करते हैं ना, खुश होकर करते हैं, बढ़िया से करते हैं, अच्छे करते हैं. हो सकता है मज़ा आने लग जाए. ठीक बात है ना. चलो ठीक है, मैं आपको फिर से मिलूंगा. आई विल डू अ सिमिलर सेशन फॉर रीजनिंग एज वेल. Fine, and we'll do one for GK, as already said, and we're reading all your comments and everything in the chat boxes, and we'll keep guiding you through such sessions, section wise, and all those things. You can just keep writing. We'll try and address everything. When we're reading everything, we're not answering in the comment box. We'll make videos on everything, right? So we'll keep doing it. So tomorrow we'll probably release the GK thing. GK, we're doing a lot of analysis on it. बहुत कुछ चेंज हो रहा है जीके में. ट्राई टू गिव यू अ होलिस्टिक पिक्चर, कैसे करना है, क्या करना है, क्या नहीं करना है, ठीक है. सो दैट शुड बी गुड. तो पढ़ना स्टार्ट कर दो यार, एग्जाम इज अप्रोचिंग नाउ, विंटर इज कमिंग, तो लेट्स मेक द मोस्ट ऑफ इट. विश यू ऑल द बेस्ट, स्टडी हार्ड गाइज, एंड let's rock the exam this time. All the best.